Welcome to ACT Administration Training for October 18, 2022. What is different this time is this will be our first testing where students are testing on computer and not paper. While most everything is the same as far as procedures, there are a few differences which I'll be sure to highlight as we go through. In general, the schedule for the day is to make sure that you're picking up your materials before 8:15 or so, because students will begin checking in to rooms at 8:15 when that bell rings. So it's important to get your materials early to verify that you have the correct number of student tickets, and to get to the room in which you are testing and verify that you have the desks all facing the same way and enough space between them to facilitate wandering through the desks and monitoring as students take the exam. At 8:30 to 8:35, you're going to do a quick attendance. You'll have an attendance roster. Please put that attendance roster taped to the outside of the door or slid underneath the door. The test room staff will come around and pick that up. You will have a second roster that stays with your testing materials that gets returned to ACT that has absentees and things marked on it. On the attendance roster that you put under the door, please be sure to include a lunch count for your students so our lunch ladies know how many lunches that they can prepare for. Then you can see from 8:45 till about 12:30, we've got our testing with some approximate times. Each room, once they've been given the signal to start, will be able to move on their own. These are approximate times, but after years of testing, these are pretty close to how things will shake out. Lunch is 12:30 to 1. Most of these seniors will go home, but if they do, they will stay in lunch until fourth period starts. And then at the end of the day, you'll see we have fourth and fifth period, and we have that so that our students who early out have that preserved for them. But again, most students will not stay. Prior to testing, if your room is being used, make sure that you've got everything covered on the walls. If you may have some testing aids there. Also make sure that your desks are facing the same way. Many of our classrooms have setups where desks are in squares, they're in groups. You may have two sections that are facing each other. You may have your room divided in three sections. For the test, all of the students do need to face the same way, and it is much faster on test day if that is done before the test. And then, if possible, there should be a clock in the room if we have, if possible. On test day, you are going to pick up your materials. We're no longer located in the pit. We will be in the library, so you will find me or part of the testing crew in the library to give you your materials. Pick them up before 8:15 and make sure that you sign the training roster. You're going to check students in. If they have an ID, that's fantastic. If not, you can check them in by staff recognition, which is the code R. Do a little close-up here so you can see. So if they have a license or a school ID they can show you, you would do a check mark in P. If you have to have a staff member recognize them or you personally know them, then you can put your initials in the R column, and then you can mark an X in the absent column if somebody on your roster is not there. Once you have all of your students seated appropriately the way you want them, and you have made the announcement, or if you've heard the announcement that we can begin, you can start with the verbal directions in the supervisor manual that will be marked for you. The difference for digital testing is that there are no booklets and there are no answer sheets. There are only student authorization tickets. The student authorization ticket is a secure material. This platform is the same platform that we run EOCs out of. These tickets will look identical to that, but that student authorization ticket has the unique name and password that the students need to access their test. The students will need to log out of their Chromebooks and log into TestNav in order to access ACT. During the test, you're going to circulate around the room and make sure that students are only working in TestNav. They can only be in one section and they can't go back to a previous section. They will be locked out because there is a seal code for each section. And once they have submitted a section, they can't go back to it. So as a proctor, as an admin, your job is to make sure that they are only in TestNav in the test, that they aren't off in Google Drive or over in the internet or trying to do something like that. It will kick them out of their test. Also filling in the paperwork. Here is another difference between paper administration and the digital administration. The test form does not have pre-printed seating charts on it. You will get to sketch out the arrangement of the room, but you will add student names and not serial numbers to this. So you may want to do names on Post-it notes. You may want to have your proctor, if you have one, help with names or give a Post-it note to all the desks and have students write names on the Post-it notes and collect those so that you can fill in your seating chart appropriately. There are plenty of space on the testing form for you to fill those things in, but the student has to have their test information on the test authorization card or form in order to get into other sections, especially if they get kicked out. So you can't collect that authorization form until the end of the test. You need to be very careful when you make your seating diagrams. You also need to be very careful with your independent timing of each test. Here's a happy thing. The tests, once the students start, are timed on their computer. That is different than our EOC testing where there's not a timer. The administrator is the sole timer. You do need to do a start time and put a start and stop time on the board. You'll announce a 5-minute warning. However, the students will see a timer running on their own machines. They will also see a message pop up of a 5-minute warning as well. Once the test is completed, you will return all student authorization tickets and all scratch paper to the testing location. Now, a word about scratch paper. The students may use their authorization ticket as scratch paper. If they need additional paper, they need to write their name on that paper and the date, and you need to collect the scratch paper and keep it with each individual ticket. We have to return tickets and scratch paper by student and not a set of tickets and a set of scratch paper. All scratch paper for a student needs to be with that student's ticket. So make sure that you collect those in one stack. Proctors, in addition to helping your administrator get people seated, we need you to pick up calculators by 8:15 and to go ahead and sign the training form. You may have seat the examinees. You may be filling in a seating chart of your own to help with that. You may have help assist passing out materials such as the scrap paper or the authorization tickets when directed to do so. Pencils, Kleenex, whatever it may be. During the test, circulate, making sure that they're only in the test platform, which is TestNav and not anywhere else. And then maintain a secure environment so that students don't have any sort of access to their phones at break or at some other point during the time until the announcement is made that the test is complete. Students can't have their cell phones until they are dismissed for lunch. Additionally, proctors should keep time on a separate piece. ACT asks that it is not a cell phone, so we will provide 2 timers in your bucket for you. At the end of the math section, immediately at the end of the math section, please return the calculators to the testing room because we need to turn those back around and give those to the juniors. And that is all you need to know about testing. If you have any questions, please send me an email and I will answer them for you.